I just go full send on every little detail, or is that like too long? Because it's a very long story. Like, I don't think I have the same story as a lot of people of just like, oh yeah, I just started streaming on Twitch and I grind it every day. Like, story time? Okay, we'll do it. I started playing video games when I was 9. I played Unreal Tournament. That was my first game that I ever played. And I played a lot of random video games like Sims and Unreal Tournament and Second Life. And then eventually in like 2007, I started playing Burning Crusade. My dad brought it home randomly because a coworker was like, hey, you should play this. And so I started playing it, and I was super addicted to that for a really long time. I didn't want to tell anybody I was playing video games because it was like embarrassing back then. So I was like a super closeted gamer. And I played World of Warcraft like all through high school, basically. And then I went to school. I went to college, and I was kind of getting all my prerequisites out of the way. I just had a lot of free time when I was doing that, when I was taking my prerequisites. So I just started streaming randomly. I streamed on a MacBook. I streamed on like a really old MacBook. And when you stream on a MacBook, you have to have like 5 different programs running just to make it work. And it was so bad. Like, I literally turned my game down to 5 frames per second so that it would function and not crash. And my game crashed all the time. And I would stream on that. And eventually I saved up enough money to buy a real PC. And I started streaming. And I was streaming like every day because I didn't really have any friends. So I would just go to class, and then I would come home and I would stream. And I was just like super addicted to streaming. I'd stream from like 10 p.m. at night to like 5 or 6 in the morning. And eventually I got to a place where I had like 150 or 200 viewers average back in like 2014, which is pretty big. Like, I was one of the only people, like, there were not a lot of people streaming WoW back then. Like, it was a much smaller world back then on Twitch. And so I got partnered in like 2014. And unfortunately, around the same time that I got partnered, I transferred to a university to get my actual degree. And so I had to move. And suddenly I was living in a house with other people because I was living by myself before. And I was living in a house with other people. And I had a harder, like, I had more courses. I was doing more credits. So I just had like a harder workload. So I didn't have enough time. So I kind of like stopped streaming. And I tried to keep it going. I tried to stream between classes and when I had time and stuff, but it was like so hard to maintain, especially since at university I started getting like a friend group. So I kind of just enjoyed college for like the last 2 years of college, junior, senior year. I just enjoyed college and like tried to get good grades. So I was like studying and then also hanging out with friends and just like, you know, enjoying my life. I joined the ski team. I got really addicted to rock climbing. So I didn't stream at all. And I kind of, in the back of my mind, I was always like, once I graduate college, I'm going to go back to streaming and I'm just going to try really, really hard to make that work for me. So that's what I did. So I graduated college. I got a internship. I got a job. It was called an internship, but really it was a job. I got paid pretty well. I was called a production assistant at Copper Mountain. So I worked 9 to 5, and then after work I would stream, and I was living alone again and I didn't have friends again. So I just streamed. So I would work and then I would stream, and I was streaming like a full-time schedule essentially, and I could not make it work again. I couldn't. I tried so hard. I was streaming like 8 hours a day and I couldn't make it happen. The internship ended and I eventually started working for GCD TV doing tournaments, if you guys know what that is. I was like adminning essentially. So I was done with the internship. It was a summer job anyways, because it was like ski resorts work in a weird way where like they have their summer season and their ski season. So in the summer season, this was like a summer season job only. So what a lot of those people do is they'll like work events for the summer and then work events for the winter. But I started working for GCD TV, so I was like, I don't want to work the winter season. So I started working for GCD TV as an admin and then streaming when I wasn't adminning. So I was like streaming 8 to 9 hours a day all the time, and I could not make it work. I got 30 viewers on average, and I was dirt poor, and I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it anymore. The streaming career is dead. So I quit streaming. It's not like I quit streaming. I wasn't like, oh, I'm done streaming forever. I kind of just slowly stopped streaming. So I literally didn't stream. Those were the dark times. Yeah. I literally didn't stream for like 5 or 6 years. I kind of just, maybe that's too long of a timeline. I'm completely guessing here. Maybe 5 years, maybe 4 years. I didn't stream at all. Not once. I was done. I thought I was done streaming forever. I was like, I'm going to work in esports. I'm going to, you know, work my way up in the esports world. You know, streaming was a fun thing that I did in my past. It's cool that I got partnered and that's awesome, but that's behind me. So I was working as an admin for GTD TV, and then I started doing stats producing. I started doing observing. I started just like working the regular AWC circuit for Blizzard, and I was doing that full time. Like that was my job. I like was full into esports at that point. And then eventually in 2019, the opportunity came along for me to be a sideline reporter for the Blizzard arena tournaments, and I threw my name in the hat. I was super nervous. I didn't think anything would come of it. I almost didn't do it. I didn't think anything would come of it, but I was like, hey, I know you guys are looking for a sideline reporter. I don't have any experience, but I would love to try it out. And to my fucking surprise, they were interested in that, and they wanted me to send in a video of me like sideline reporting, quotation marks. So I did, and they liked it enough to try me out on a LAN. So my first ever LAN was the 2019 spring finals for AWC, and I was interviewing players. I was very nervous. I was extremely nervous. You can probably see me in that video like shaking, like holding the microphone, just absolutely shaking. I was in the green room like having a full-on panic attack. I don't know how I forced myself to do that, because it was a full LAN and I was on camera. Like it was in a full studio. That was before COVID. So like there was this big camera and there was a crowd, and like there were players like playing behind me and like a huge crew. So I was really nervous. I did a good enough job that they kept asking me back. So I kept sideline reporting. And eventually I started hosting the AWC. I hosted a little bit of MDI as well. So anyways, it's COVID times. I'm regularly hosting AWC. I'm getting lots of Twitter followers just because I'm on AWC. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start streaming again. So I started streaming again, I think in like early 2020. And I basically had to start again from nothing. Like when I first started streaming again, it was like 15 to 30 viewers or something like that. I just kind of started from there and I just kept going. And with my schedule, it's hard to be able to stream consistently because I was like also working. I still don't really have the time to like full-time stream, but I started working really hard to grow my Instagram, grow my Twitter, and grow my Twitch. I kept doing that. And then eventually I had the amazing opportunity to host for Complexity. They reached out to me to host their Race to World First, the first one that they ever did. So that was Nyalotha. For some reason they wanted me to host, and I was like, I have absolutely no rating experience. I've never mythic rated. I barely even like normal or heroic grade, but I'm super down. And they were fine with that because they wanted like a color commentator. They wanted someone like me to just like, you know. So I hosted for them. And I hosted for them every year and was still streaming, was still growing my brand. I was doing pretty well with hosting and making my own content on the side. Then comes 2022, where Complexity Limit moves to Team Liquid. So they move to Team Liquid, they make that announcement, they get underway with planning the Racer Road First that we just saw, Sepulchre of the First Ones. And one day in my inbox, I get a message from a man named Trey, who he used to be on Method. He works for Liquid now. I get a DM from him and he was like, hey, we're planning some stuff. We want to have a meeting with you next week. And I was like, cool. Didn't think anything of it. Like, I get DMs like that all the time, and it's always like, we have this show, do you want to host for us? Or like, we have content coming, do you want to be a part of it? I literally thought they were going to ask me to be a host of something. Like, I was messaging my boyfriend, Ethan. I was like, oh, Team Liquid like messaged me. They want to have a meeting with me. They probably have some tournament that they want to do. And so I get in this meeting with him and some other people from Team Liquid. And they were like, we want to increase our presence in WoW or something like that. We want you to be signed on to Team Liquid. And I was like, Are you serious? Because I'm still not a very big creator. Like, I'm still a pretty small creator, especially if you compare me to other people in Team Liquid, right? So I still don't know why they want me on their team. But I mean, I do know why, because like obviously I have a pretty big presence in World of Warcraft just like from hosting stuff. But so yeah, they signed me to Team Liquid, and it was the best opportunity of my life, and I'm super happy that I'm here, and I will never stop being grateful. And that's how I joined Team Liquid. So first of all, here's my advice. So I know that I'm extremely lucky, but I also know that when I was growing my brand and growing my content, I did get approached by several smaller orgs to join them. And I never wanted to be a part. Like, I had a little post-it that I wrote like 2 years ago of orgs that I wanted to join someday as like a goal, and also as like a bar. Like, I did not want to join an org that couldn't also like help me grow my brand. Like, I wanted to be a part of something that was much bigger than like an org that only did WoW creators or something like that, right? So in my opinion, like, don't settle for something, but also be realistic, because the amount of people that want to be in orgs versus the amount of people that actually get to be in orgs is like very, very small. You know what I mean? Because being a content creator and being able to do that full time is like very fucking hard. It's very fucking hard. And I think a lot of people like quit their jobs and do it full time way too early. I did it way too early, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't pay my bills. So I started working in esports. So you have to be realistic with yourself. You have to, I think, set goals that are realistic. You just kind of have to work your ass off, to be honest. So yeah, that's my advice. I don't know if that's helpful or not.